The method can help you help clients break through the drama, the emotional baggage that's holding them back so they can start to see life on the way, not in the way. If you're a coach, a consultant, a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, or working in any field of being of service, social worker possibly, and you work in helping people transform and overcome challenges and obstacles that they face, dramas that they've experienced, then please stay tuned. Because what I'm going to share with you today, I know will be helpful in the service that you want to provide for these individuals. I've been involved in the education process for over 50 years and been developing a methodology called the Demartini Method, which I've served people with for many of these years. And a lot of people in the coaching industry and counseling and the psychological industry are now incorporating it. And I want to share a few minutes to talk about it so you can use it yourself, be helpful to you. And if you get a value out of my presentation I'm doing every week, please do subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification for notifying when we're doing special classes like this. And at the end, I'm going to talk about something that you can be doing initially that can help your clients. So stick around for that. But the Demartini Method is a series of questions to help your clients become conscious of what's blocking them in their pursuit of what they dream about. Whether they want to grow their business, or whether they want to work on relationships, or whether their breakthrough limits on wealth building or social influence, whatever the area of life it is. There's 7 areas I've been working in with this method. This tool is pretty universal. You can use it to help people break through. That's one of the reasons I teach the breakthrough experience, for helping people break through. I have a whole batter of information that is designed to help them get clear on what they value and also dissolve the baggage that they're carrying around. See, anything that you infatuate with or resent, anything that you're proud of or shamed, anything that you're fearing the loss of or gain of, any emotional drama that you've experienced that you've never seen the order to, is going to be inculcated into the subconscious mind, and it's going to create impulses and instincts that are going to be running you until you dissolve those or have them seen or perceived in a neutral way. Anything that you are infatuated with or resentful to or proud or ashamed of occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. You'll see very clearly that the number one things that stop people, or the series of things that stop you from breaking through and going into great achievement, boils down to our comparison to other people. In other words, there are 7 basic fears. The fear of not being smart enough, the fear of not being successful and failure, the fear of not having wealth or losing money, the fear of not having a relationship or losing a relationship, the fear of not having connections and social connections and losing of people's support, and the fear of ill health, death, or disease, or not having health, or the fear of not being inspired and feeling down and depressed. Those fears are a result of comparisons to other people. You only fear the rejection, fear the loss of something that you're infatuated, and you only fear the gain of something that you resent. So the Demartini Method is designed to help you dissolve all those fears and all that baggage. And there is no fear without a fantasy. You know, if you infatuate with somebody, you fear their loss. If you resent somebody, you fear their gain. And the fear of the gain is the escape, the fantasy of the escape. And the fantasy of the infatuation is now the fear of the loss. So they always come in pairs. And the Demartini Method is designed to dissolve the emotional baggage in pairs that stop you from being present and powerful and purposeful and prioritized and productive and present. So let me give you an example. Let's say you meet somebody and they're walking down the street and you meet somebody and you think they're more successful than you. And then as a result, you compare yourself by the law of contrast and beat yourself up. I've seen this many, many times. People are comparing themselves to others instead of comparing their daily actions to their own dreams, their own higher objectives, what's truly congruent to them. And what they do, the moment they put somebody on a pedestal and infatuate with them, that person occupies space and time in their mind, and then they inject values from that individual in their life, and they The way they know they're doing it is they hear themselves saying, I ought to be doing this, I should be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing this, I got to do this, have to do this, must do this, need to do this. They hear the values in their head in the form of injected imperatives, little statements that they say, I should do this, why am I sabotaging, why am I not staying focused, why am I not disciplined? They're trying to live in somebody else's values, and they're having the emotional responses to give them a feedback to let them know they're not being authentic to their own highest values. That's why I talk about values on my website and in almost every seminar that I do, because it's so important to make sure you're congruent with what you value most. And when you're coaching people, if you don't have the value applications and you don't have this method, I really believe you're going to be missing out on what you can be doing to offer people something really profound to break them through. So the second you put somebody on a pedestal and inject their values and then compare yourself to them, and you're going to think, well, you're too humble to admit what I see in them inside you, you're going to minimize yourself. And then you're going to have the fear of not living up to that expectation. And then you're going to beat yourself up. And so that's because you're too humble to admit what you see in them is inside you. Now, I've been studying the reflective awareness for 40 years. And one thing I'm certain about is that we will never judge another individual on the outside for something that they've done that we haven't done in our own way on the inside. This is an old proverb, even in the Romans, the Christian writings, they say that, whoever you judge, beware, you do the same thing. It's true. I've taken hundreds of thousands of people through the process, and I'm certain that whatever you perceive in other people, you have. So the Demartini Method holds you accountable to recognize what you see in the people you admire, where you already have the behavior. So instead of standing in their shadows, you can stand on their shoulders and realize that there's nothing missing in you. You have that behavior. It's in your values, it's not in theirs. But if you expect to live in their values, you won't honor yours. And then you'll think there's something wrong. I first got aware of this really in the 1980s when I noticed that as I was speaking to different consulting companies, I was a guest speaker, and I noticed that there were certain clients at these consulting companies that were joining a consultant, and then they're not getting the results they want. And then I would find them 6 months later at another consulting company, and they're flourishing. And it's because they were trying to be somebody they weren't under this consultant, and over here they're more aligned and congruent with who they were, and they flourished. And I found out that that's why human values are so important, to make sure that there's congruency, but also expecting yourself to live in somebody else's values, not your own, and to try to demonstrate the behaviors that they have that are different than what you already have. You're not missing the behaviors, not missing the talent. If I was to look at Stephen Hawking and his great achievements in cosmology, I could admire his diligence no matter what he had in his health issues and how he stayed with it. But I don't miss that trait. I look at myself and I find I have that same behavior in my area of human behavior, in teaching. So we're not missing the traits we admire in people. We have them. And the Demartini Method holds you accountable to recognize that, so you're able to stand on their shoulders and not live in people's shadows and compare people. The reason why we have so much turmoil in our life is the comparison of ourselves to other people. Then once I have you identified, ask yourself this question: what specific trait, action, and inaction do you perceive in this individual that you admire most? Great, and identify it. Well, they're disciplined and they're staying focused. Great. Now, go to a moment where and when you, in your life, display or demonstrate the same behavior. And then honor that behavior until it's owned, until you realize it's not missing in you. And then you'll find out in your own values, in your own highest values, you have the same behavior they have in their highest values. You may not have their exact same values, but you have the same behavior. Nothing's missing in you. I tell people at the level of the authentic self, nothing's missing. At the level of the inauthentic self, you think things are missing because you're comparing yourself to other people and you're too proud or too humble to admit what you see in them inside you. Then I go in there and I ask, what's the downside of their behavior? Because as long as you're infatuated with their behavior, you're going to keep injecting their values and trying to live in their values. Just like if you're infatuated with a new relationship, you sacrifice what's important to you to temporarily be with them for fear of loss of them. The same thing when we envy other people and try to imitate other people, we undermine our own potential. So we go in there and identify what are the downsides of their creation of it to take them off the pedestal to level the playing field. When we have a level playing field and we realize that what we see in them, we have in us, and ours is just as honorable as theirs, we give ourselves permission to honor our own creation and not live in their shadows. but stand on their shoulders and let them be a catalyst to realize the potential we have inside ourselves. Then we go in there and identify where we've done it and what are the downsides to where we've done it to calm down our pride. Because sometimes we get distracted by our pride and then we end up projecting our values onto our clients and onto our customers and think we know better than them. And that's foolish, and that eventually humbles us, pride before the fall. And it's meant to get us back into equilibrium until we have reflective awareness. And then we go in there and identify where this individual does the opposite. So we break the illusion that they're always that way. Because sometimes we compare ourselves, well, they're always on top of the world. They're always happy or something like that. No, they're not. Well, I've consulted with all types of people, of very powerful people, and very celebrity people. They're just people. But if we go in there and level the playing field and see where they have both sides and find out if all of a sudden they were the way we fantasize, what would be the drawback, and break the illusions by a series of questions that hold us accountable to level the playing field, to empower our life, and take the people we've also resented, the wounds we've had in the past, that we think that people have done to us and we've been a victim of or whatever. You don't get anywhere with false attribution biases and blaming people. So the Demartini Method is designed to dissolve blame, dissolve credits when you exaggerate people or minimize people, and to own the traits of what we've also been resentful to level the playing field. Because if not, we'll get proud and cocky and project onto people and think we're narcissistically deserve more than we do, instead of actually being level and really sincerely in reflective awareness where we actually have sustainable fair exchange with people. So the Demartini Method is a series of questions to help you neutralize baggage of perceptions that have been accumulated through your life that's making you put people on pedestals or possibly in pits and keeping them, putting them in your heart. It's also helping you to level the playing field, because whatever you see in other people, you got. And the moment you do, it allows you to be present with people and more authentic with people, and allows you not to puff yourself up with false egos or put yourself down with shames. Pride and shame and infatuation and resentment are the two most common things that undermine people's achievement. They're the sources, because if you infatuate, you fear their loss. If you resent them, you fear their game. Now you're living in fear instead of your executive function, where you're really objective, pursuing deeply meaningful pursuits, something that's really inspiring to you. So the Demartini Method, which I've been teaching all these decades, is designed to help a coach, a counselor, a therapist break through the limits that people have. And most of those, every time we have imbalanced perceptions and ratios of perception, we store that in our subconscious mind, which is our amygdala and our hippocampus. It runs and reverberates and shows up as impulses and instincts that fire off before we can even think. It puts us in the lower subcortical area where we're in systems one thinking, where we're basically reacting with for thinking instead of following with proactive thoughts, a real plan, living by design. We're living by reactions. So the method can help you, help clients break through the drama, the emotional baggage that's holding them back, so they can start to see life on the way, not in the way. We have people in the coaching industry that basically are comparing themselves to these people up on these pedestals, minimizing, and then they're immobilized because of the fear and intimidation. All that's dissolvable in a very short period of time, dissolvable, and they're ready to take action. Or they're sitting holding on to resentment and swearing I would never do something, and they're living in absolutes, and they're thinking, oh, I would never do that. And they're doing the very thing that they're condemning somebody for, and they're being self-righteous, which turns and alienates business, because they're not in the heart. And when you're not in the heart, you're not inspired, and your energy is not enthused and really certain and present and focused about what it is, the business is affected. It also, relationships are affected. Whenever you have clients that are sometimes having problems with relationships, and they're maybe putting people on pedestals and infatuated, playing underdog, and wonder why they're not getting where they want to go, or they're putting them down and expecting them to live in their values and punishing them. All of that is basically distractive energy that is dissolvable by the Demartini Method. You also have people that have financial issues, that they're basically sitting there feeling unworthy. Anytime you compare yourself to somebody you've got on a pedestal and minimize yourself, you're going to devalue yourself. And you're going to feel not worthy. You're going to feel altruistic that I need to do something to feel better about myself, and I need to give away my services. Or if you're sitting there putting resentment, you exaggerate yourself and think that, oh my God, I deserve better than this. Anytime you exaggerate your deserve or minimize your deserve level, and have these elevated or suppressed self-esteems instead of true self-worth, you're going to undermine the creation of great business enterprises and relationships. So the Demartini method has various applications in relationships, in business, in finance, in social influence, physical health. You cannot have these emotions without affecting epigenetically and autonomically your physiology. And your body is creating signs and symptoms to try to get you authentic. The Demartini method is designed to return you back to authentic, back into your heart. When you have a gamma synchronicity in the brain and you're really authentic and have a eureka moment and you know that there's something meaningful at that moment, that's the place to be. That's the flow. That's the zone. That's what the Demartini method is designed to bring you. It's a science, a mathematical science to help you bring that state more frequently, more consistently, more powerfully from a more authentic state so you can help empower your mind, your business, your finance, your relationship, your social influence, your physical health and well-being, and be an inspired individual, be an exemplary of what's possible. So I've been teaching this to many, many coaches, thousands of coaches and teachers and psychologists and people of all different walks of life, and rabbis and ministers and people that are working in one capacity or another with helping people. So if that's you, take advantage of the opportunity to come to the breakthrough experience where you can get introduced to the method. You will know at the end of that experience, because I'm going to make you go through the process and dissolve whatever you perceive as your baggage and show it to you and show you how to dissolve it and use it. And then you'll know. I ask people at the end of the breakthrough experience, how many of you have learned something this weekend that you could have gone your whole life without, you would not have learned it if you hadn't been here? Every hand goes up, week after week after week. And how many of you broke through baggage that you've been carrying around for days, weeks, months, years, or decades? Hands go up. And how many of you know people right now that could have benefited by being here? All the hands go up. Repeatedly that happens, week after week after week. So take advantage of the opportunity to learn the Demartini method and also the value application. And the thing I wanted to say at the very end was that on my website, the Dr. Demartini's, drdemartini.com, is a value determination process that can help you help clients get congruent to set goals that are really objectives that are more aligned with what they value so they have a higher probability of achieving it. There's frustrations as a coach when you have clients that aren't doing what they say they want to do because they actually don't know what their values are, and they're trying to set goals matched on people they got up on a pedestal they've injected, and they're trying to be somebody you're not. Emerson said, Ralph Waldo Emerson said that envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide. We're not here to be second at being somebody else. We're here to be first at being who we are. So go on my website, take advantage of the value determination process. It's complimentary on the website, private. You can have you and your clients take advantage of that and use that to help them guide themselves to set authentic objectives that are congruent. So they decrease the probability of all the emotional drama that requires the Demartini method. And then come and learn the Demartini method at the breakthrough experience so you can incorporate that. Because when you do, you're going to want to learn more about it, I promise you. You're going to want to apply it into your practice because you're going to see immediate results. It's not something that's a hit and miss. It's something you do the work, you get a result, you see the change in behavior. So if that's of interest to you, come to the breakthrough experience where I can show you how to do it and make you go through the process and help you go through and navigate what it is to dissolve emotional baggage that's stopping people in these 7 areas of life that I mentioned and holding them back from doing something extraordinary. Look, one of the most fulfilling things we have as a teacher coach is assisting people in transforming their lives and hearing the thank yous for the life change that's happened. I get them every single day coming in my emails, coming in, thank you, this is what happened at the breakthrough experience. I mean, relationships and business and health, you name it. Psychological, it's amazing stuff that comes in. That's what makes this all worth it. As we are doing a service to people, the rewards of watching the transformation is what it's about. The Demartini method is an extremely powerful transformational tool that can help you do that on a daily basis with certainty. Not hit and miss, but with certainty. I made it a science out of it. I've been working on it for 50 years. I'm certain about the results. I can teach you how to do that, and I would love to do that because I would love to help you go and do something even more extraordinary with your clients. If you're a coach, a counselor, a therapist, or whatever, take advantage of the breakthrough experience. And let me share with you this Demartini method. You will put it into your toolkit. It's a tool that will last, and it'll be serving people for the rest of your life. Anyway, please go and sign up for notifications if you're interested in more on this channel, and subscribe. If you know people that could benefit from this type of information on a weekly basis, please subscribe to my channel. That way I can help more people. If you help other people do what they would love in life, you get to do what you would love in life. I've been teaching that for years. It's true. And let's work together on doing that and making a difference on the planet by giving information that's solid, that's reproducible, that's duplicatable, that does something that's amazing in people's lives. We all deserve to do something extraordinary. I'll see you next week. Thank you for being with me today.